In this video, I'm going over the concept of reference and coterminal angles. So what we need to remember about reference angles are, well, one, a reference angle is an acute angle, so less than 90 degrees, and it's between the terminal side, so the side of the angle that's moving from 0 here, to the x-axis. So that is the reference angle. It's the distance from the x-axis, the terminal side. So basically here, if you think about it, if we're just focusing on the x-axis, right? So we're focusing on this is 0 degrees, 90, then 180, 270, 360. So here we're talking about, so again, the terminal side is, so here I've got my angle, like let's say I want to create 30-degree angle. Well, we're always starting here at our 0, so then the terminal side is what creates the 30-degree angle. So that here is the terminal side. So that's why we're talking about the terminal side, the distance from the x-axis. So like in this case, the reference angle of a 30-degree angle is just 30 degrees, right? Because it's already less than 90 degrees. So in that case, the reference angle is the angle. Now here, like 210. So here 210 is, well, right here, right? In quadrant 3. 1, 2, 3, and then I'll keep my label here 4. So if this is 210 degrees, then what is the reference angle? Well, we're not going to go reference in terms of y. What is the distance 210 has from 180? 30 degrees. So that is the reference angle for 210. So then here, 130 degrees. So well, 130 here is here, right? In quadrant 2. So this is 130 degrees. So what is the distance from the x-axis? 50 degrees, right? So subtract. So the reference angle is 50 degrees, 330 degrees. So 330 degrees is in quadrant 4, right? So again, we're not going to go to 270. We're going to go to the x-axis. So the distance here is 30 degrees from 360. That is the reference angle. So here, try these two real quick. And so for 100 degrees, knowing here that 100 degrees is here, right, in quadrant 2, just past the 90-degree mark. It is not 10 degrees, right? It is 80 degrees because that is the distance from the x-axis here from 180. So 295 is here in quadrant 4. So 295 is 65 degrees from the x-axis. So from 360, subtract your 295. So just a couple of these here. So like if I wanted to solve these problems as you go through, and this is just kind of to show you the application. So like here, 60 degrees in quadrant 1. So you're just focusing on the 60 degrees, find sine, right? Which is your y coordinate. But if I wanted to know 60 degrees in quadrant 4, well, quadrant 4 is here, right? So what angle has a reference angle of 60 degrees? Well, if this is 360, then we're talking about 300 degrees because that has a reference angle of 60 degrees. Then again, that means at the 300 degrees, you would find your y coordinate. So again, here, if I'm focusing on 45 degrees, well, 45 degrees, but in quadrant 3. So 1, 2, 3, 45 degrees. So what angle here has a reference angle of 45 degrees? Well, from 180, you're at 225 degrees. So at 225 degrees, you would find cosine, which again, remember, right? That is your x coordinate. So that's how you can apply here your reference angle. Now here, the coterminal. Coterminal is just, again, an angle in the standard position that is the same as the terminal side. So basically, we're just looking for the same angle. Here mathematically, we are adding and subtracting 360. If you think about it, right? to create a full circle, which here, my starting point. To create that same point again, you create a full circle, which is 360 degrees. So notice if I had a 45-degree angle, I could add 360 to that, right? Or I could subtract 360. So here, again, so coterminal, that just means that we're adding, subtracting 360. So what could be a coterminal angle? Well, I could subtract 360 here, right? So a coterminal angle would be 205 degrees. That means that 565 and 205 degrees are in the same position. So here, if I had negative 93 degrees, well, I could add 360 here, right? So again, all you're doing is just adding and subtracting 360. So like here, what would be a coterminal angle to 410 degrees? 50 degrees, because I could subtract 360 coterminal. So 410 degrees and 50 degrees are in the same position. So again, just remember, right? Coterminal, add, subtract 360, they're in that standard, that same position. Versus your reference angle is the angle's distance, that terminal side, from the x-axis. That is your reference angle.